Cool. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Greg, and welcome once again to another Rip Room Reds podcast. I am checking if my audio is going through the right microphone. It is, which is fantastic. I'm joined this evening by my co-host Jace. We've just drawn 2-2 at home to Bayern Munich. I want to get a sense for how hot or cold you are. How are you feeling after that result, Jace?
Well, when you say hot or cold, are you saying good or bad? Like I'm hot. Like I'm hot. Like I am raging. I am steaming. I'm the adrenaline's not quite come down. The game's only literally just finished. The finish at the end, I've been shouting at the TV for the last 5 minutes, hoping the referee would hear me, but clearly he hasn't. I'm on the come down here. This is going to be a live ragey podcast.
All right, I like it. My wife would commonly say they can't hear you when I'm shouting at the TV, so I know the feeling. Right, if this is your first time joining us, like always, please do give our channel a subscribe. Do give this video a like. We are after every single game. Me and Jace, Rip Roaring Reds, hitting it. And we're going to do what we do every single episode. This is the Rip Roaring review. Jason's already said he's hot. He's steaming. He's ready to go. So I'm going to pass over straight the baton to him because I think I know what he's going to talk about. Is it the penalty?
Well, there's only one thing to talk about. Like, we just finished a 2-2 encounter in the last minute. And it's not like the game just ended on the challenge. The game went on for like another 30, 40 seconds after the challenge. And what's the point of VAR? What's the point of VAR? Like, it's clearly a penalty. Like, I am seeing Neuer's leg come out, and because he's going for the ball. He's going from the ball, which is, as he's come out, the ball is on his right. He's put his foot out for the ball. So I might be in left. Pardon me. I'll get my left and rights mixed up. But the point is, he's put his foot out towards the ball. And that's impeded Saka's run. And Saka's already knocked it. That's a penalty. It's a stonewall penalty. How is that not a penalty? What's the point of VAR? The ref can miss it. That's okay. But then VAR has to catch it. And the ref's clearly hearing something through his mic. I don't know. Or he's saying, I can't hear anything through my mic. And then he just blows the final whistle. And Saka's still in the penalty box hobbling around. I'm livid. Like, it would have been such a benefit taking a lead into the Allianz away. And I think we had the best part at the end of the game. And I think we could have deserved the win. So it was it was an even game. We'll go into it, but into the detail. But I'm still not coming down from what I saw. I just can't believe what I seen. I thought that was that's the pen. Maybe we're recording too fresh.
Know, maybe we are, and that's good. I like it. But when it happened in real time, like you, I'm like, that is a stonewall penalty if ever I've seen it. The fact that the referee didn't give it pretty much immediately would imply that he's seen something that we haven't in real time. He was obviously a lot closer to us. And the only thing that I'm with you, Jace, right? I would love it to be a penalty. And I think it probably the referee's decision, I'll go into that in a second. But Saka has dragged his leg for the contact and he's gone down. Now, I'm not saying that should matter because in reality, like I say, Neuer's gone for the ball. Saka has every option to do what he's done to get that penalty. The fact that the referee could have seen that and then said no, and the fact is because he said no, VAR has to overturn it. It has to be 100% sure that the referee's decision on the field was incorrect to overturn it. If the referee had been abject in that decision and kind of said, I don't know, I didn't see enough of it to make a decision, then yeah. But like again, in the TV world, we didn't see any of the VAR, don't see any of it, don't hear any of it. And that is a bit disappointing. But that's the only thing I can see in there that maybe means why we didn't get it.
Look, did Saka physically move into Neuer? Or are you saying he just dragged his leg?
I think he's dragged his leg for the contact.
But that's still within the path of Neuer, and Saka's knocked the ball around him. He gets given all the time in the Premier League. I don't know if this is
but we've talked about in some of our other...
It
is, because we've talked in other Champions League games where, they've let games... I think the referee was actually pretty good tonight. Maybe Bayern the penalty. But he let a lot go. But we've seen a lot of referees, like Bayern for the final 20, 25 minutes, were going down were signalling for fouls, were rolling on the floor. I think
Well,
Kane
yeah,
got away with one tonight as well. Like that elbow to Gabriel's face is blatant if ever I've seen it. But we all know he did it in the Premier League week in, week out, including his little lean into the let someone jump over and break their back every single time. And he continues to get away with it.
Harry Kane, and he's
Yeah. All right. Well,
England's first son. So.
Yeah. I mean, so I'd already written my Rip Roaring review before the game. It was even half time. And I wrote, there's a quote in Batman Begins where Alfred says to Bruce, "Why do we fall, Master Bruce?" And the answer is to learn to pick yourself back up again. And I had a sense that this is our first sign of adversity in 2024. We've had an absolute barnstorming, unreal 2024. And I did wonder what a loss could have potentially done to the team's psyche, to their belief.
Yeah.
You know, we've gone to City, we've got that draw, we beat Brighton, absolutely ruined them. We've played we've done an absolutely unreal 2024, and I wondered what this could do. And to come back into that game and still have it all to play for at the Allianz, and to still be top of the league as well, albeit on goal difference, there is a sense that might help us. I think in this result, it may have given us this maybe a bit of a kick that we underestimated Bayern in this game, because I feel that we tactically set up this game quite differently to what I expected. I think we didn't give them enough respect. They counted on us in transition all the way throughout this game.
Yeah.
And we did not set up the same way that we set up against City, which is weird to me.
It's the opposite to City, wasn't it? We went at them. We wouldn't go at City. We didn't even go at City when they came to the Emirates.
No,
but we went at
and
Bayern.
That's why I wonder whether or not I don't know. Maybe because it's at home and it's within our rights to do so, but we left ourselves vulnerable to counter. And the fact of the matter, the first half they had two shots and 2 goals, and the obligatory Harry Kane penalty. Why not? It was a penalty, but so be it. It's just I wonder whether or not that sense of adversity, that fall, is going to allow ourselves to pick ourselves back up again and go back to battle next week and get a result at the Allianz. I more believe that we'll get a result now than I do against Porto. I didn't think we could.
You think we're the underdogs against Bayern now, and we're going to get a result?
I think we'll get a result. I think we can do them. There's nothing that scared me from Bayern Munich tonight. The 2 goals, and we'll get onto them. We were the architects of our own downfall in that respect. Like, they weren't something that came from better play, and that's why in this game we continue to play the way that we play our football. We went through this game in the same way that we've done every other game, knowing that we can get back into it.
Yeah, I think I messaged you guys when we conceded those goals, just saying like we didn't go at City. If we'd have played tonight how we played against City, we'd have seen the same thing, because we expose our flaw, and that's what we've got to work on. Because you go toe to toe with a big team. If you want to go toe to toe, play your kind of football, then you're going to expose some of your weaknesses as a consequence.
Well, it's always in the Champions League as well. You're going to have big games, right? You looked at I don't know if you've seen any of the City goals or the City result. It was 3-3 at last point, but their goals are incredible, and it's big teams playing big teams. There's going to be goals. There's going to be moments. We're at the big table now, Jace. That's what happens.
Yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed they played those 2 games at the same time, because sometimes you just tune in, right, to watch big games, and that was a big game I'd have quite liked to watch by the looks of the goals. Yeah, it does look quite a good game.
Go on.
No, I was just going to say, I agree with your points, right, that previous Arsenal teams, this would knock their confidence, but this is a lesson learned. I think that it's like we've gone from one polar element beginning of last season, because we didn't know beginning of last season we were going to do a title push, to this season, because we've gone to the complete polar, the opposite, if that makes sense. That we're now at the big table, and we're now wanting the trophies, and we're now expecting results. And I think there is an appreciation that the team's still young, it's still developing, and this is just a learning curve. This was just another tick box exercise in a way. People were like, how can you say that? It's like the first time in 12 plus years that we've been in a quarterfinal of the Champions League. We've waited so long to be in this position at this stage of the Champions League. In recent years, we've not even been in the Champions League. So for us, this is a big milestone moment. And it's a tick box exercise. And what I mean by that is it's getting the experience under the belt. Liverpool didn't win the Champions League the first time asking. They lost in the final of Real Madrid. They won it the next year. They got then to another final and lost again, right? So it's a process for us. You want to take what you can take now and you want to win it. But at the same time, you could say that this year might... Oh, the come down now. It's the come down, right? I can feel my body.
You're in the 7 stages of grief, I think, Jace. Where it's like,
yeah, I think so. I'm. This year could just be. I'm not saying it's going to be. I'm all in. I still believe how we're playing. We're playing well, but this could also just be another year of learning, because it's only really our second year competing with the big boys, and it's our first year back in European competition, and we're now playing with the big boys. This is experience gained, not lost.
Okay. The first topic I had is called the architects. There were two players that to me stood out in this game as everything was flowing through them, to them. Everything that we made was by them. I'm not gonna say the names. I'm hoping that you're aligned to my two names. So who am I talking about, James?
Well, architects. Saka and Odegaard, I'm guessing, are your two architects.
Saka, it's good. Saka and Odegaard. So maybe Odegaard's more the architect, but Saka definitely played his part in this game. What do you sense from this game? Do you feel that once again Odegaard is putting in a captain's performance? Did you see enough in this game that's really screaming to you that like he is one of the best attacking midfielders in the world at this point in time?
Yeah, absolutely. He controlled the game, right? I saw him just running rings around Bayern players around the midfield. The only thing this game, I felt like Bayern played a specific defensive game, right? Which at times maybe he didn't quite have the final pass at certain times. I think we could have created more chances than we saw, especially the second half. For me, I felt it at a point in the first, like it phased out until we made the subs. It kind of phased off, it fizzled out. The first half was quite lively, but again, there was chances we should have taken that we didn't, and so it's just sometimes the final ball he can't always find. But overall, he's controlling it. He's absolutely controlling it. He is orchestrating everything that he needs to orchestrate. He's doing it on a stage where not many people have seen him do it on the stage at this level, right? It's a bit of not a job interview because he's staying at Arsenal, but you know what I mean. It's he's showcasing his skills to the world. Not maybe like for the first time. He was a poster child, right? He was meant to be this player. Unfortunately, for Real Madrid, it's not for them, and I think that was what he was expected. He was expected to be the player he's being for them. They gave up on him. Their loss, our win, and now he's showing what he can do on the biggest stage with us instead. Brilliant. He had a great performance. Like, the only criticism is that maybe you could have had a few better final balls that could have opened up or unlocked different opportunities for us to get a winner. Yeah. But
like you did say though, I think Bayern did set up there was like a 4-2-4 formation. They blocked everything coming through the midfield. It was very difficult for us to find any space between the lines, and that is the space that operates Odegaard, and so I do found that at times he found it difficult, and you're not always going to be able to create those reverse passes every single time. There was a couple. I'd like to know how many chances he created this game, because I feel that he did unlock quite a few opportunities that we were unable to put away.
Yeah, I mean, Bayern didn't. They played counter-attacking football. And as a result, they played the most boring kind of football, really, that you can play from a big team. Reminded me of a Jose Mourinho team, actually. Very Jose Mourinho-esque. You'd get them on the counter and then you just park the bus. When you got Eric Dyer sat back there, who's schooled in the art of Conte and Mourinho and all of the managers he's had at Spurs, right? I mean, we should be... Our team, the quality of our team, should be absolutely destroying a defense with Eric Dyer in. Sorry, lose my voice.
Well, this is
Shouts.
two games we've had though where a centre back that should be shit has bossed us. We had it in the last game, and we had it in this game.
He is shit, Grev.
I know he's shit. I'm not saying he's not, but like, it's just it's frustrating, right?
I'm so angry. I don't know. There's this article I was reading. It's like Eric Dyer's like, I should be getting picked for England now. I'm playing the best football in my career. I'm like, mate, you're playing one of the worst Bayern Munich sides ever. You're like fourth choice because the centre back getting played, and I don't know.
You think they rolled him out in this game just because of the Spurs connection? It like he'd be more up for it. You might get in people's heads by doing that. Like, I don't know. If
he has been playing a bit. He has been playing a bit for Bayern Munich, from my understanding. Right. Since he joined, he's had quite a few games for them. He's played quite a few times. They've got Upamecano, who apparently I think has been making some errors. They're not exactly light on centre backs to an extent. They've got some decent centre backs. So I don't understand. I mean, if they're picking Dyer, it must be something in which they feel he is the best choice. It's just from our perspective, it's not our choice of centre back, right? We wouldn't play that kind of centre back in our back line. It's not what we look for in a ball playing defender, and we've seen him we've seen Arsenal destroy him at the Emirates, right? We've seen some very comical performances from him at the Emirates, so we know what we can do to him, and we didn't take advantage of it. I think actually the booing of Harry Kane and Dyer, I think that Eric Dyer, you're shit chance, I think probably didn't actually help. I think it just motivated him to stay focused and stay consistent and put a performance in.
Well, because you want to rub it in people's faces, right? He wants to perform, and when people are hearing that, because why would you not want to come away from this game with a point, a win?
Yeah, and let's not underestimate how much those two guys love playing against Arsenal and hate Arsenal at the same time.
Well, we've seen Dyer celebrate when they went ahead, and then we ended up winning that game 4-2. Yeah. We've seen Harry Kane score too many goals against us, and I think I texted a friend of ours asking, put a bet on Harry Kane and us to win, and I was close.
You were close. Yeah.
But I just, Harry Kane scores against us. Like, I agree with all your points made on Odegaard. I feel that he was really, really good in this game, really operated in the spaces. Maybe Saka, like I said, is not necessarily the architect, but he certainly, everything for us was going down that right-hand side, especially during the first half. Saka's goal, very Saka-esque. We've seen that finish many, many times before, but even when you still see it, it's still great.
That finish.
Well, the bend and the disguise behind the two centre backs, I think, was the best part about it. The goalkeeper had no chance; he could not see it, and it just had the right amount of curve in it to sneak past.
It was the perfect element. As soon as he hit it, when you're screaming because the TV angle tells you it's going in, and you're screaming, you're up out your seat before it's even touched the net. I
did that with Martinelli's one there, and I was like, "Oh, it's so close." I thought it much closer than it actually was because it was far away.
I was doing laps around the living room as soon as he hit that, because you could see the gap between the line of the goalpost and the defenders, and you could see Neuer's over there. He got nowhere near this. That's going in that little hole, that tiny little gap. That is going exactly there. I was doing laps of the living room. Great finish. He's got that. Just that ability to whip it. I have a strong appreciation for those kinds of finishes. Grev, I do it with my right foot. I love a whip, a bender, as I call it.
1 in 10 you get right, Jace. Is that right?
Yeah, right. On a Monday night. So I've just got so much appreciation for that way in which you can bend the finish with the inside of your boot, and it was a beautiful goal. Also, I think he caused them problems all night, right?
Well, Alphonso Davies got onto a yellow almost immediately in that game. I felt that we could have exploited that more so.
Who's their backup left back? Anyone we know? I can't think. We'll put it this way: he probably won't be as quick as Alphonso Davies. So good luck against Saka. in the second leg.
Oh yeah, because he's going to miss, isn't he? After just
He's
his yellow card.
not in. He's not in. So that was probably a pretty decent outcome for us, and also the fact that Rice and Havertz Hazard didn't get booked, so we don't lose them for the second leg. I'm hoping the cards get wiped as well.
I think they do after that one. All right. Well, we talked about the good of a Saka and the good of an Odegaard. Let's move on to maybe. I'm debating whether or not you could call it a mistake or not, but I've put the segment down as costly mistakes. We obviously, like I said already, Bayern got 2 goals in this game from, frankly, nothing. And both of them were, I'm sure many people have seen it. There's an Arsenal meme that has a guy with a stick beating another guy over the back of the head, and it all says Arsenal on every single element of the meme. It's Arsenal gonna Arsenal. And we were effectively some of the kind of orchestration of our own demise in this respect. I wondered, do you think there was blame to be laid at anyone's feet for the first goal, or do you just feel that it was just accidental? Do you feel there was anything we could have done differently?
Well, it's funny that you say the guy of the stick, that Arsenal going to Arsenal, right? It started for me at the point it was created. I wouldn't say there's blame all around, because decision making at each phase of the play could have been different, if that makes sense. So the first incident is Raya out of position. When Gabriel has the ball there, he needs Raya further back so he can pass back, then go wide and recollect the ball and move forwards, if that makes sense. So
do you think he is out of position though? Like my question here is, we all know Arteta plays an extremely high line and asks his keeper to play high up the pitch. Was he closer to that? Because you can't see it on the camera, right? So I'm wondering whether or not he was close and thus decided to come to it. We couldn't see it.
I mean, I don't want to like. I don't think Ali. Well, the commentator said he was really out of position.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say I don't know if he was for how we play. You're right. I think that's fair analysis. He may not have been completely out of position, but I think that there needs to be better movement in the moment from Raya to position himself in a way that he could take the ball off Gabriel. It could be a quick 1-2, right? Mm-hmm. He collects, gives Gabriel a chance to turn and face up the pitch and recollect the ball and then distribute out. So that was the first element. That had an impact on Gabriel's decision making. It basically forced him backwards further than he wanted to go, to the point that he saw Raya out, not in the right position. It didn't give him confidence to pass it back. That led to him making the only decision he could, which was to play the ball up the field. I thought I was really surprised when Kiwior didn't get to the ball, and then that was it. We were susceptible to the counter. That was pretty much it. I don't think there's anything Ben White could have done. He was chasing Gnabry the whole time. I mean, you could have taken the player. Is it Goretzka from Leroy Sané for the ball through to Goretzka? I mean, you could have taken out Goretzka, but is that too much of a risk in that position to take the foul? Would you get carded? So we just created our own undoing, and I don't feel it was any one particular person to blame. You could have said Kiwior should have got to the ball. You could have said Gabriel could have played a better pass. You could have said Raya should have been in a better position. You could have said Ben White should have tried to get closer to Gnabry to block the goal. By the way, Gnabry with his little Salt Bay thing, I was like, man, have some respect. I really like Gnabry. I was like, I guess
down tools on him now. You were like, I was going to take him back as one of our backup wingers, and now you're like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I love Gnabry. I love this London is red when they beat Spurs and they thrashed Spurs in the Champions League.
Yeah,
so still
going Dyer as teammates. They always are.
Yeah, I know, right?
Did you you mentioned Kiwior in the build-up play for that one?
Yeah.
He got span, an absolute treat for the one that went for the penalty.
He got overrun. So is that he got Sane on that? Of course, them havoc. To be perfectly honest, in that first half, I wouldn't say that they had loads of chances, but the points when they did have an opportunity to counter, Kiwior couldn't keep pace with Sane, and that was showed. I think that was why the substitution was made to tactically change, bolster the depth that we have in that area of the pitch, and it did level out. And Zinnigan came in and controlled a bit more of the midfield, and we definitely had more control. So I think Kivior, this is exactly what I'm referring to when you mentioned kind of like this is still not a bad result. It's our ability to come back from knockdowns, right? This is just a checkbox in Kivior's armory of experience. He'll learn from that. It's the first time he's played in the quarterfinal Champions League in his career. He'll learn from it and move on.
I'm not. I kind of my sense and feeling is that Kiwior's found his level, and this is beyond it. In my personal feelings, I just don't feel that he was equipped for this game. I think we saw that in the City game too. I feel that there's elements, and it's not to say, I know I've said this quite a few times, Zinni doesn't get dribbled on as much as people think he does. And he did play a much bigger part. I expected Tomiyasu to come on, actually. That was what I thought, because I thought with Jorginho and Rice in the middle, we didn't need someone to overload in midfield, but maybe that was the right call, because it allowed Rice to kind of Rice to play a bit more forward, which we kind of needed. And I saw Arteta encouraging him to play much, much higher up the pitch after that change. Yeah, I'm just worried a little bit. We do have good options, so it's not like a massive worry, but like I just don't feel that Kiwior is probably going to be, and I think we know that already. I think we know it's probably going to be Timber. We know that Zinchenko is probably going to be the backup when we need it. Ben White's going to be the right back. That's usually the setup, and it's kind of fortunate, I suppose, in the absence of some of our key players, that Kiwior has been able to fill in, be a very good utility player. I just don't feel that he hasn't been good against bigger sides, in my opinion.
Well, but I don't know about what Arteta thinks, right? Because Arteta had the option to play someone else this evening. Could have played Tomiyasu. Could have played Zinchenko from the start. But he chose Kiwior. So he must see something.
Yeah.
He must see something. I don't think Kiwior is necessarily out the door like we were thinking he was around Christmas time. I think he's redeemed himself. And I think that it's not over for him. On the other hand, does he start in the Allianz? Maybe not.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe not. Well, we'll know if he plays at the weekend.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be interesting because obviously there's a series of big games coming up for us, so maybe we can talk about starting lineups.
Talk to me about the penalty.
It's a penalty, like all day long, and I think the commentators made a point of it to say that Jorginho's toe punk kind of caused the problem. Saliba may have got there had it would have not been for that additional touch, and it's just unfortunate. Saliba had every right to kind of go for that ball, and we've seen him make that challenge 10, 20 times this season and recover the ball. You obviously doing that in the box, you run a risk. And I think, was it Sane that made the goal? I think it was. His run through the burst of midfield really did kind of cause us problems, and we didn't kind of know. We've had that a lot where they ride a lot of challenges, and if they don't go down, we're afraid to kind of make that challenge in fear of giving that foul in the wrong area. And we ended up costing us a penalty. And of course, Harry Kane steps up, and every Arsenal fan will know as soon as that happens, there's no chance in hell that he's not scoring. So it's unfortunate. But yeah, I think that penalty was much more stonewall than ours, if I was being honest.
I don't know. I mean, I'm still not over ours, so
I'm seeing what stage of grief you're at, James.
Yeah,
your judgment. So you've watched the replay a few more times.
Yeah, well, Harry Kane can always score against Arsenal, but he can't score it matters in a World Cup for England, can he? So,
always not going to win a trophy either. Right, let's talk about the subs, because I have to give Arteta some credit. I feel in here, like making a time. We've already talked a little bit about Zinchenko. Making that change at halftime is incredibly brave, because it can do players a lot of detriment when it happens. We've seen it happen to other players who have completely lost their way when that kind of thing happens. But there were when he brought on Trossard and Jesus, and particularly where he did take off. Was it Jorginho that he took off?
Yeah, Jorginho off Party.
Yeah, no, it was Jorginho?
No, sorry, he took Jorginho off
Martinelli
for
Trossard and Jesus.
Yeah, that was the swap. Havertz came off later for Party.
Yeah, and that's where I think he put Havertz deeper. He put Havertz back in the 8, and that change is something we haven't seen for a while, and ultimately gave us the the goal that made us come back into this game. What do you think you saw from those substitutes? Do you think you saw anything different than what you kind of expected, or is it just much of the same and a very brave substitution on Arteta's part to bring us back into this game, Jace?
I mean, I just think the players coming on was not the brave sub. Like, I wouldn't call that brave. I think that's just standard subs he would make, to be perfectly honest with you, based on what's available on the bench. I think the brave thing to do was to take Havertz out of position and drop him in and put Gabby through the middle and Leo, and take Jorginho off to take that volume out of the midfield to an extent, knowing you've probably got Zinni in there and Rice, and that you can afford to do that. So that was the brave thing to do, and it did pay off with the quick feet of Jesus and the lovely finish from Trossard. So it was from that perspective, it was a perfect substitution.
Do you feel like Trossard's? Actually, let me talk about Jesus first, because I wanted to. I talked, and I think you mentioned it as well in a previous pod, that like Jesus is just holding the ball, keeps holding it far too long, and I saw flashes of it during this game again. But actually, the one that resulted in a scoring was him holding onto the ball just enough to pick the right pass at the right time to release Trossard. Yes. And that was, for me, I'm wrong, and I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong. Not.
I don't know if you're wrong. I don't know if we're wrong there. Like, I think it's just one in five comes off.
Yeah, maybe you're right. There's another element I just want to talk about. So a great finish by Trossard. He always finds it. We've talked and waxed lyrical on this pod previously about his impact off the bench. It's incredible to see. He always changes games. When all is said and done, when the dust settles on this season, regardless of where we are, I do feel he has to go down as one of the best signings that we've ever done, in terms of the value that we're getting from the price that we paid for him, and the kind of what could have been. You look at some of those other players that we were likely in the market for, a Caicedo, a Mudryk, and what's happening to them. He's incredible, an incredible player. And I think is he either our second or he's joint top for goals and assists this season for Arsenal, which is quite, considering the amount of games he doesn't start, it is quite a feat.
He's the most underrated player in our squad, and I think as a result, probably one of the most underrated players in the Premier League. Because he has an amazing technical ability that we liken a little bit to Santi Cazorla, partly because of his low centre of gravity, his ability to keep the ball at his feet. He has a great finish. He knows where the goal is. I find it's very rare that he comes off the bench and doesn't score. It's more, from what I can recall, and I'm sure analytics or stats might say, no, you're wrong, but it's more often he comes off and scores than he doesn't off the bench. I know as a player you probably want to start, but I'm almost like, Leo, know what you're good at, and that you're good at. Really good at.
Yeah, it's what you really would like to see, though, is that transition from when he is playing off the bench and really impacting the game to do it over 90 minutes as the starting berth. Because Martinelli, I know he's been injured and he's only just come back into the side, but I think in his cameos and his start today have been relatively poor. I don't think I wanted him to start in this game, so I'm not arguing for not, but I don't feel he was at it today.
You don't feel so would you have started Jesus on the left then?
I would have probably started. No, I think Martinelli should have started. I agree with the call. I think he should have started, but on reflection, I would have done Trossard instead. But maybe, I trust the manager that maybe his decision was that he knew that Martinelli wasn't necessarily going to be doing it, and it'd be better to do him at the start than as a bench option, potentially.
Okay.
But nothing for us was really going down the left until about 50, 60 minutes. And it was about 10 minutes of Martinelli where he did have some flashes and he tried to hit the byline a couple of times. And then Trossard ultimately changed it for us.
He had some elements in the first half where the long balls were coming across and he had some chances to do something, but he just kind of kept going backwards, or Kimmich just rode him out. So
yeah, he does have seemingly an inability to beat his man at the moment. We've said that about Saka at times throughout this season, where there's either a fear or a mental block, or not knowing that you have the pace or the feet to be able to beat your man. You know, I think Saka tried it more often after Alfonso was on that yellow card because he probably knew that he could. But even Saka's been in elements of this season where I don't think he's been as forthright in trying to push down that wing as much as he probably can do and beat his man.
Yeah.
Right. Go
on. Have we got an opportunity just to talk about a few other things that I observed in the game? So Ben White, should he have scored that chance to go 2-0?
I wrote down on my notes, like, when the first, I think it was Ali McCoy at first said, "Oh, Manuel Neuer, what a great save." I'm like, what are you talking about? He's literally hit it at his chest, anywhere but there, and that's a goal. And, you know, the thing is, you have to forgive Ben White a little bit. He is not a player to be found in that position making that kind of goal. It's just not a defender's role. And sometimes they'll come off, but the majority of the time they won't. If that's a striker or a midfielder, that's going in every day of the week.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate. And that maybe in that, it's because we were 1-0 up at that time, I think, right?
Yeah, and 2-0 would have, I reckon.
Well, I had a text going, Arsenal were going to destroy it, because if you looked at the first 20 minutes of this game, it was an Arsenal game. It was what we always do. That's going to be 3-0. And, you know, the turning point, we were caught on the counter and we turned. But like, if he scores that goal, it could have been very, very different.
Yeah.
I wanted to, maybe you're right, because I didn't get to talk about this. I want to talk about Thomas Partey as well, because I feel that.
Yeah, that was like a performance.
Yeah, I just saw someone tweet like his best position at the moment. It was just a picture of him on the bench. And I think it's time that we've all made our peace with the fact that he is not the same player anymore. And like every time he's come on for us, he has looked lethargic. His passing has been really bad, like really loose. And his pace, he used to have relatively good pace. And that seems to have just gone.
He did one useful thing. Took a yellow.
I mean, yeah. I admit that was probably although, I mean, when I looked when they played it again, it was like 2-on-5. Yes, they could have broke, but there were one thing I would say, there were times when they did counter on us and our recovery was really good. Like Ben White's tackle for that recovery was unreal. And like his pace is certainly, like, considering there's been a lot of talk of him. He had strapping on his knee in training. He has been carrying an injury for everywhere. And apparently his pain threshold is like through the roof. His ability to run and track and, you know, just play 90 minutes every single week is incredible.
Yeah. He's a consummate professional. Wouldn't expect
anybody. Well, I wouldn't know, apart from playing for England. Let's not get into it. Anyone else? Anything else that we missed in Jace, do you reckon?
Havertz was pretty invisible, I think. He didn't stand out tonight. And he's been having some really good games. I think every game, the moment you've been saying this is Havertz's best game in Arsenal shirt, tonight wasn't. He was. I don't feel he was a bit inept. He wasn't able to get into the game, especially in the first half. I didn't notice him at all, really.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I felt he's missing. I don't know if that's because, like, I don't know if it's because he's playing a big German side in theory, like the number one team in Germany, right? Which always international colleagues play for, and whether that's making an impact. Like, I used to remember when Ozil used to play in Bayern Munich, he'd be absent. And it felt like the same thing here. I don't want to categorize him in the same way because he's been playing really well for us. But it was a chance for him to make a statement tonight. And I feel like he didn't take the opportunity.
Yeah. And I think there's elements as well of other strikers that when they're not in a game, they bring themselves into the game. We've seen it often where they drop deeper and try and play their part. He hasn't been doing that. He's obviously got a role to play. I'd also say, and I saw a lot of discourse about this, is that we lost a lot of duels. Even the commentators made a point that the second balls were getting, you know, swallowed up by Bayern at every opportunity, and that's usually a telltale sign if Havertz is having a good game, that we're winning all the duels in midfield, and he wasn't. And so that there's certainly maybe just an element to be made there that he's either lacking, scared of that, like you say, that team, that type of game, or whether or not it was just a poor game by him. There's a multitude of different factors, but Arteta loves winning duels, and we didn't in this game at all. So it's unfortunate, but you know, I'm sure he'll recover.
I think there'll be a lot of video analysis in the training ground tomorrow. Trust me.
Well, I heard them mention obviously that I think it's Dortmund and Werder Bremen that beat Bayern at the Allianz. I'm sure Arteta will be picking up the tapes of those games and seeing what to exploit. But this is, like I say, it's a poor Bayern side, right?
I think it's a Bayern side that I wouldn't say. Like, if you look at the caliber of player in the squad, is it a poor Bayern side? No. I mean, obviously, in my choice, I wouldn't put Eric Dyer at centre back starting. But apart from the rest of the squad is a very, 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 very high caliber. I think that there is something within that squad which is it's like one of those weird Chelsea seasons for them where they just don't want to play for the manager and they want to get him fired. If that makes sense. But you've seen it, right? Where Eden.
But there are times when it happens, James, where you're like, you just really want it to continue, like Ten Hag. You just want them to keep doing it, even if you know he's lost the dressing room. You just want it to carry on.
Yeah, true. But that's what it feels like for Bayern Munich, which basically means, yeah, they down tools in the league, but they still got pride in winning the Champions League. They're always going to go for it. And because the manager's already said he's leaving, so nothing's going to change there. He's gone. So they got nothing to lose playing and turning up in the Champions League. And that's what they kind of did. They took the chances.
Well, let's in the parking lot. So obviously we've got the away leg next week. Do you think we change very much?
Zinny for Kivior. I'm not sure about the midfield, actually.
Because I wonder whether or not that's any change means that you don't play Jorginho. I don't necessarily know if it feels too DM heavy, in my opinion. Unless you're just going to play Rice as like a fake 10 alongside Ødegaard.
I think there's a question with Georgie, and that is fatigue. Now the volume of games he's playing. He has to be man-managed. Now, I think we'll know the answer by if he starts against Villa, I don't think he's playing Bayern. If he doesn't start against Villa, he's playing Bayern. And I think that's how we'll know.
Do you think me and you are going to the Emirates on Sunday to go and watch the Villa game? Looking forward to that. Feels like forever since we've been at the Emirates. Do you feel we changed very much from this squad into the Villa game in terms of protecting that side for the away leg? Or do you feel we just play what we play?
Might protect Saka. Obviously, he's had injuries in the last few weeks. He's been on and off starting. He was limping coming off the pitch off the pen this evening a bit. So I think we might protect him. Obviously, this isn't the best Villa side of the season. They've got a lot of injuries. Are they still in the Europa or are they out? They're in the conference, aren't they? They're in the conference.
Yeah, I think they're still in the conference.
So if they're going for that, then maybe then the league title, the Champions League spots, maybe they've.
So they're playing actually on Thursday against Lille.
That's not an easy game either, Lille. I'm just looking to see where they are on the league table, actually, just to see if they've.
Well, they've still got something to fight for.
Well, that's what I was thinking. They've still got stuff to fight for, but my question was more going to be. It's not coming out the Premier League table. Are they fighting for Champions League or are they fighting for Europa League for next season? I'm just trying to remember their points. I think that it's going to be pretty consistent with Zinny maybe getting a bit more game time or Tomiyasu starting, maybe.
Yeah, they're joint on 60 points with Spurs, but I think they've got a game over Spurs. So they are fighting for the Champions League place. So they've still got some fight on their hands. So, but they're missing Douglas Luiz as well for the weekend. So I'm kind of feeling that he is an incredibly important player to how they play.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe it should be. I think that game's a lot easier than it shows on paper, in my opinion.
Maybe we'll start a lot of the same team, but maybe you'll have if we get the lead, then we'll make quite a few changes quite quickly.
Yeah, I think that's probably
early
about
in the second half. Because at the end of the day, I could see us trying to go for the league this year and just taking this year as a learning experience for the Champions League, knowing we'll go again next year. I can see that.
James has changed his tune. We were going to win the Champions League, then we're not, then we are. He can't quite make his mind up, but all he knows is that
I want us to win the Champions League. I still would take the Champions League over the Premier League.
He's even got the patches just to showcase how up for it he is. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I only wore this shirt. Like, I don't wear this shirt because I bought it one size too small and it's really tight.
It shows off those muscles, Chase. That's all that matters.
No. And but I was like, well, I bought this shirt for one reason, so I should really wear it at home to watch this game.
Yeah. For those who are on the pod, you're missing out on me and Jace twinsying in this year's home shirt by accident, of course. But it's nice to see. I don't wear it that often either, and so nice to see it come out on the odd days when it can.
Score predictions of Villa.
I think it's a 3-0 to us.
I think we've opened the floodgates a little bit. 3-1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, Jason always predicts 3-1. So
yeah, I was quite disappointed when the goals went in tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we've not made enough conversation about that. I think that generally speaking, we've had an unreal 2024, and we've conceded. How many goals did we concede? Like 4 or 5?
4 now. Well, it's 6 now.
So we doubled. We had 50% more goals through one game, and frankly, shouldn't have.
Yes, but league form wise, it's still pretty damn strong.
Yeah, look, I mean, let's put it this way, like I say, I think I was leaving the room and my son said to me, 2-2's not a bad result, and in the grand scheme of things, it probably isn't. And it's all to play for at the Allianz. And this game was not going to be won nor lost over the course of this first leg at home. I don't think, even if we had been 3 goals up, I still think there would be conversation to be had that the away leg is still all to play for on both sides. So, all to play for, take it to the Allianz. I'm interested to see where it goes. Man City and Real Madrid duking it out. I like the fact that there's a lot to play for in that game as well, because we could do with Man City having some more minutes in their legs too. Let's see what happens.
Extra time and penalties, please.
Yeah, we just don't do that to us again. I really don't want that. I don't think I can handle it. My heart is not made for it. I'm almost 40 years old, Jace. It's just not a good look for me.
I mean, mate, you never look anywhere near 40, so don't worry about that.
But I'm not a piece of toast, Jay. Stop buttering me up, man. Come on. Right. Thank you for joining us. It's been. Go on, Jay. Sorry, did you have more?
No, that was it. Let's wrap it. Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Like we've said before, if this is your first or other occasions coming to YouTube, please do give us a like and a subscribe on this channel. It really does help us grow our audience. We would love to chat to you. If you've got any comments or questions, please do add them. Jace, if they are on this podcast provider of choice, what should they do?
Yeah, feel free to subscribe. That means that the latest episode will be in your Apple Podcast or Spotify feed the moment it is up on the store. And please send us a review or give us a 5-star rating. 5 stars, no less, as Greg would say, because he doesn't get
still
happy.
5. It's still a 4-5 at the moment on Spotify, so I'm happy with that.
There you go.
There you go. Right, we'll see you again at the weekend. Arsenal Villa. Come on, you Reds.
Cheers, guys.
Come on, you Reds!